can just mute your mic so that there will be no background noise, so everybody will be able to hear. Again, I want to thank Renaissance for the opportunity to share with you guys some issues with regards to this area of referendum, which is what I think we want to talk about this evening. But before I do that, I want to share some foundation comments.
Just 1 minute, Mr. Mike. Just 1 minute. Renaissance, could you mute your mic? I'm getting some feedback.
That's not. Right.
Perfect.
Gracias.
All right. So I want to start with some fundamentals with the Constitution, because a lot of us who live in the country do not recognize and understand some of the fundamentals of our Constitution. This is just the surface. This is not really where you have to go. There's a lot more you have to understand. But we don't have all the time in the world, and I hope this will give us the opportunity to create another moment in the future where we could go into more depth, because you'll have questions and that I'll be able to address them in a more formal way. Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, the first 3 sections of it, which was established in the new Republican Constitution, A, B, and C, says as follows. Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago have affirmed that the nation of Trinidad and Tobago is founded upon the principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, faith in fundamental human rights and freedoms, the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions, the dignity of the human person, and the equal and inalienable rights with which all members of the human family are endowed by their Creator. Inside of it had nothing to do with ethnicity, have nothing to do with race, have nothing to do whether you're African or Indian or Chinese or Syrian or white or black or blue. It is established that we have recognized in the Constitution as the first thing that we are all part of the human family. The human family is the human race. In section B, it says respects the principles of social justice and therefore believe that the operations of the economic system should result in the material resources of the community being so distributed as to subserve the common good, that there shall be adequate means of livelihood for all, that labor should not be exploited or forced by economic necessity to operate in inhumane conditions, but that there should be opportunity for advancement on the basis of recognition of merit, ability, and integrity. So here again, it is grounded on the fact that the common good of everyone, that the wealth must be so distributed, and that labor should not be exploited or forced by economic necessities to operate. And you go back 2 years and ask yourself if we have lived up to that. And C, have asserted their belief in a democratic society in which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in the institutions of the national life, and thus develop and maintain due respect for lawfully constituted authority. Now, this is where referendum starts. Again, have asserted their belief in a democratic society, which we are, in which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in the institutions of the national life, and thus develop and maintain due respect for lawfully constituted authority. I say that to tell you that we all are aware that the globe, the world, was colonized in a significant way, whether it's India, Africa, the Caribbean, United States of America, or Europe. We all understand that the developing world should be run by democracy, but we also know that we only have that right every 4 or 5 years. In Trinidad and Tobago, every 5 years. In the United States of America, every 4. Trinidad and Tobago being a colony, even if we get the least votes, but the person who wins have the most seats, which is called pass the post system, that person becomes the leader of the country. You may refer to him as a king if you so desire. The present democratic system could be considered disenfranchising of the majority. Meaning the majority of us may not like it, but in the end, if the man in charge says we're going right, we have nothing to do but go right. We could burn tires, we could get on as we want to get on. The only time we could make a change is 5 years down the road when we have another electoral process. And I'll tell you a little bit about that just now. Eric Williams talked about it when we became independent. And he said democracy is not just about one man, one vote. But the truth is, in Trinidad and Tobago, the vote is not considered. The seats are considered. And no matter what you do, if we don't find a way to change that seats where the votes take precedence over the seats, we will always be working with a minority administration, irrespective of who is there. It should be really the majority, meaning whoever have the most votes should definitely have the biggest say. This has nothing to do with politics now. This is not PNM, UNC, PDP, PLP. It makes no difference what political party. First, we have to understand that the way the Constitution was established about past the post, 41 electoral districts. Who win the most electoral district? Who get the 21 first is the winner. Even if 21 equal 400,000 votes and 20 equal 600,000 votes, it makes no difference. The minority always will get the say. Eric Williams had always wanted the principle of one man, one vote. In every one of the political parties, they talk about one man, one vote. But they do not live up to one man, one vote. Because whether it's PNM or UNC, there is no proportional representation in any of those parties' internal elections. So you could have, like in Kamla Prasad Bisesa, 10,000 people in Siparia that will vote for her. And automatically she get a head start. Or, like in the Trinbago situation, you could end up with Beverly Ramsey-Moore having 30 band sides or 30 pan sides or 32 pan sides in Tobago. Each one of them give her 2 votes. That gives her 64 votes. She only needs possibly another 20 in Trinidad to become the president of Trinbago. When it's only the Tobago people who would have put her there. Today we have to look, and we have to look at the Constitution as we look a little bit further. The Constitution has some areas in it that has not been paid attention to for whatever the reason would be. You have to forget the light. Every time it go off, is the automatic switch in the office that has turned off the light when or not, when they do see somebody here. Let me say to you that, what is a referendum? A referendum is a vote on a question. A referendum can be started by a citizen or by the government. If you are enrolled to vote, you can vote in a referendum. Referendums are an important part of New Zealand's democracy. Not only New Zealand. I have a list of countries that use referendum in their political system. In the African continent, Egypt, Kenya, Morocco. In Asia, Bangladesh, East Timor, India, Indonesia, Iraq, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand. In Europe, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Moldova, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, United Kingdom, North America, Canada, Mexico, United States, Central and South America, Brazil, Chile, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Uruguay, Venezuela, Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, and there are a lot of others, and you could go and do your own work in pulling it up on Wikipedia. It's a very good piece of information on Wikipedia about all of this, all the countries that does have the right to a referendum. A referendum in some countries, synonymous with plebiscite, a direct vote of the electoral on a political issue. So for instance, when the government of Trinidad decides under the present Prime Minister, he has the authority to give Tobago the permission for self-government, he is wrong. He should first have a referendum in Tobago and ask Tobagonians if they want self-government. And then when Tobagonians say, yes, we want self-government, he then goes to the cabinet and say we have to draft a law to give Tobagonians self-government, not to impose what he wants. And the similar thing applies when he did what he did with local government. They are now coming back to the parliament when the parliament opens, and they're going to introduce a rehashed Tobago House of Assembly mechanism for the Trinidad and Tobago local government to operate similar like the THA. After talking about it for almost 30 years, they're going to take the same THA document and modify it to handle Trinidad. I don't know if they're going to put 4.2% of the budget to be split among the 14 regional corporations. I don't know how they're going to do it, because that is one of the major things in Tobago that is different to Trinidad. They have got the element of money based on the budgetary numbers, where they are guaranteed a certain amount of money. It's not a law, it's a discretion. It's somewhere between 4.2 and 7%. And all the governments from the time it was established from in the days of Robinson, 4.2 has been the number. So this situation of a referendum is by a ballot. And it's not a simple thing. It has a lot of work to do. A citizen could start a referendum. It's called a citizen-initiated referendum. Or a government could start one. Citizens-initiated referendum. For instance, any New Zealand citizen can start the process for a nationwide referendum. If the petition succeeds, the referendum goes ahead. It has to be at least 10% of the registered voters that support the referendum petition. And it is only when you get to that number, you're able to move forward. It's not just me. That's why I said when we launched this referendum for the issue of getting the country to put into the constitution referendum as a part of our rights as a citizen, I said it at the pretext to say, we have to find a way to get to the point of having 500,000 people that say so. Not 50, not 100, that's not enough. It must be an overwhelming number of people that participate in the process, so that now the government is left with no alternative but to make referendum a part of the constitution. I'm going to post on this site next week some very choice words by Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj about referendum. Because while he was speaking recently at a function that was held for him to give his views on whether or not Trinidad and Tobago should be going to the Caribbean Court of Appeal or Caribbean Court of Justice for the final appellant court for our cases. He said while he was the Attorney General, he had recommended that if we needed to go there, then the people of the country needed to have a referendum. And he said that there is no need for any 3/5 or 2/3 majority to get a referendum in the Constitution. He's a senior counsel. I'm not. I'm just following in his cue. If he has sold rubbish, I have bought it. But at the end of it all, I think he's right. It's a simple process. It's a matter of the people saying they want it. And if the people say so, vox populi, vox Dei. Voice of the people is the voice of God. A referendum will allow citizens through the petition process to refer acts of the legislature to the ballot before they become law. The referendum also permits the legislature itself to refer proposed legislation to the electorate for approval or rejection, a la the property tax. If they want to impose that property tax on the people, it is not just to send out a form. It should be by explaining, giving some in-depth understanding what they're going to do with this money. So they get money from property. They raise 200 million, 300 million, 500 million. What are they going to do with it? Are we still going to have bad pavements? Are we still going to have drainage problems? Are we still going to have problems in our area with schools, maintenance of the fields? Are we going to have problems with parking? Are we going to have problems with not having the proper infrastructure in our area? Are we going to have problems with our electricity bulbs? Are they still going to not work? Are we going to have problems with perennial larceny in the areas where agriculture exists? We have to make sure that this referendum, when they want to bring things in place like that, that will affect our lives, especially during this period of financial difficulty, we should have some say. It's just not a carte blanche situation. The initiative and referendum process guarantees, in the case of Washington, which is of course the capital, if you want to call it that, United States, electorate the right to legislate. Sponsors of initiative of referendum measures must obtain a substantial number of petition signatures from registered voters in order to certify their measures to the ballot or to the legislature. It's not just a matter of me filing a paper. It's a matter that the country comes together and say, yes, this looks like the way for us to go. Our democracy is good, but our option is only to vote you in office. We have no other use. All you do is use us for election time. When election time comes, you say, well, okay, I need you. And one party say blah, 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 the next party say blah, blah, blah. And we vote. And whoever gets the most seats takes charge. Washington's history has shown the initiative and referendum process to be effective in protecting the people's interests. In fact, many of our most significant laws, such as our public disclosure laws, were enacted by the process. They're talking now about campaign finance reform for last 15 years? The situation of recall, how long they're talking about recall, so that if a man we appoint to give him a job, he starts to earn a la Darrell Smith, a la Anil Roberts or whoever, what do? Do we leave him there for the full tenure, or do we bring the society together and say, hey, let's have a referendum on this guy not being our representative anymore? We're supposed to have some rights there. There are 176 countries at the time when this was done. There's more. And referendums have started as early as 1900. And as far as up to 2016, 2017, more countries have used referendums to solve a problem of polarization. If you belong to one political party in this country, you will want to go one way, the political party way, whether it's PNM or UNC. We need a referendum mechanism that you now stop putting the party or the politician first. You need to put what is best for the country first. And referendums gives you that position. And that means to say that if the majority of the people say yes, they want it, it means to say you will have a better level of democracy. In 2020, the last general election, there were 2 votes on referendums that you could vote on. And this is coming out of, I think it was Canada. I'm not certain. I didn't print the page. But here's what it says. Here's the 2 things that went on the ballot. Recreational use of cannabis should become legal, or End of Life Choice Act 2019 should come into force. Meaning, if you are somebody that's real sick, you have a choice to tell them, look, I don't want to suffer. You go ahead, take my life. I give you that permission. And cannabis, which is the biggest issue that we're facing now all over the world, we had no say. We might have gone through and they might have done a lot of, integral work in communities and ask people certain things. But as a citizen, really and truly, did we vote on saying we wanted to decriminalize marijuana in Trinidad and Tobago? No, it was a decision that was taken by the state. As it stands today, in my capacity as the pushback movement chairman, I look at 2 simple things. The appointment of a police commissioner. Should that be left up to the politician? Or should that be left up to a situation where 4 people name go up and we vote for that person like they do in other parts of the world? Because when you leave it to the politician, you know Gary Griffith ain't getting back to work. He may be the best man for the job, or he may be the worst man. But at least we will have some say in saying we want Gary or we want Jacob. But if the politician and the police service commission has that job, you could tell yourself it's going to be politicized, like we have recognized with the one that happened recently when Griffith's name did not go back up. And the person who was the chairman of the police commission had to step down. Now, that is covered in the Constitution because, for instance, Section 66B of the Constitution says, each service commission shall submit to the President before the 1st of October in each year a report on its administration, the manner of the exercise of its powers, its method of functioning, and any criteria adopted by it in the exercise of its powers and functions in the previous year. And the President shall cause that report to be laid within 60 days thereafter in each house. It questions, how did the Prime Minister, after all those years, 2 years, nearly 3, come to the functional understanding that he no longer had confidence in Gary Griffith? Was this done? Was this presented in the Parliament? If this was presented in the Parliament, then how can he come now? If it was presented in the Parliament, it would have said, here what? We have no confidence in this man because he ain't doing a good job. And then the Prime Minister would have seen this report. This is the Constitution document here. I'm not reading off of my head. I printed it so that you will understand. It also goes on to say that the Judicial and Legal Services Commission shall submit to the President before the 1st of October in each year, commencing in the year 2000, a report on the exercise of its functions and powers in the previous year, describing the procedures followed and any criteria adopted by it in its connection therewith, and the President shall cause the report to be laid within 60 days thereafter in each house. How is the judicial system in this country so bad? If the Constitution says that she is supposed, from since 2000, whoever was there, within 60 days after the 1st of October, November, December, by the end of December, somebody in authority is supposed to know this judicial service is working, is not working. How many people are sitting down in the prison that shouldn't be there? Why are they there? How many cases still outstanding for murder? Why is it taking so long? How many abuse cases have been inside of there that we haven't been able to find? How many cases do we have on the books that people sitting down in remand yard waiting for their trials to call? Some people 15 years, 16 years, 18 years. If she's doing her job.
What page of the Constitution are we looking at right now?
Page 63.
Page 63. Okay, because I have my copy here, so I just want to read along while you
Page 63, subsection 66, B, C, and D.
Okay. Thank you.